What is going on, guys? You're seeing my Audacity screen. I'm going to try and record this a little differently, but we are back with comics. So, what exactly are we looking at? I will show you. Men are talking. A woman says she's so sick of seeing all this stuff about violence towards women. Man says, yeah, I agree. I have a sexist bone in my body. Woman says, yeah, James. Not really worried about your bones, more about your thoughts, words, and actions. Man Salt Bubble says something like, uh-oh, she's on to us. So, yep, this is a theme. So guys, this you would have seen before. This is like the Glass of Water comic. And what I'm gonna use it as a base because it seems the most aligned. First thing I'm going to do is make a new layer. And this layer is going to say like zoomed in. Because basically, especially for Instagram, we don't just want all four. We're going to want all four shown bigger. Now the first thing I'm going to focus on is really changing the surroundings. I'm going to kind of toggle between these two tabs just to refresh my memory. So we've got men and women are talking. A woman says she's so sick of seeing all this stuff about violence towards women. So thinking aloud, I'm kind of thinking, should this be like something on the television that they are both watching? In that case, should she like be standing up? So I'm gonna toy around with that idea. The first thing I'm gonna do is move this sofa. Note that I'm not deleting anything yet because I'm not really sure I want anything deleted yet. What are we gonna call this? Leave it like that for now. I named that one this way because I want my new changes to be clear what they're from. Yeah, I do remember at this point, but it's kind of like if I get a lot more elements, it's gonna possibly be quite confusing for me later on. Okay. Now that I'm thinking of it, I like this comic thing because I feel like I'm working. Like, I'm getting to be quite inventive compared to some projects because I'm pretty much also thinking, oh, what would work? How should their energy be? Like, what should be in the background? I get to kind of create as I go, which is always appealing to me. Sometimes if you just have something pretty standard that you're working on, like let's say a business card or like just you're putting text on a page for whatever reason, you can't do that. So I'm just going to delete this because it wasn't grouped, which is a little fidgety. I think it's because last time I just did it as a last edition and just drew it pretty quickly, the inside, and I never grouped them. But because there's so many, if I did want it back, it's not hard to save. So we want like a completely different vibe. And really I'm thinking that according to our screenshot toggle, we're gonna want a woman to be speaking. So say if my text is grouped and I wasn't in isolation mode, when it turns, my text will stay in line. But say your text is kind of like separated, it will just move the text box and stir it all up, basically. So what we're gonna do, I think at this stage, is I'm toying with the idea of having like something on the TV that prompts her statement. You guys know those charts that they do? Let's give it a go. So, it's a bit on the nose, granted, but needs must. Pardon me if I keep saying all the British phrases. Shout out to like BritBox and my English VPN, but I've been watching a lot more British TV and I think it's starting to show. You guys that know me on this channel know that I did live in England for most of my life, despite the lack of accent. Okay, we're going back to our Illustrator screen. So, what I'm trying to do, we're gonna have to change the font. So, I'm changing the font because I like this. What do you guys think? Reminds me of an old newspaper, like a headline. It's a lot more bold because it is gonna be a small screen, even when we zoom it in, so we want it to be clear. So I'm gonna just reduce the letters here, change the words, and see if I can just fit these all in. So you saw me do that, and now you're gonna see me just stretch this text box, stretch the screen. Let's make the TV have less bezels. Bevels? I don't know. And see what we can do. I want it big. I could change the color of it to make it stand out that little bit more. It is huge at this point, guys. It's 120 points. So maybe let's drop it by 10 points and see what happens. Cool. Okay. I want this box smaller so it's not so difficult to move around. The trouble is when you just keep moving it around, the giant box is going to overlap on other boxes and it's going to start to get in your way. So now it says increased violence towards women. And we're going to have that in like some alarming red. And what I wanted to do is kind of make this look like a sort of chart, which thankfully I have not had to do in a long time. So I just got my line tool here. I'm not a huge fan of the line tools because I'm always a little like concerned it's gonna just go wonky. Now it does have that purple line as you see. It says 0 point, like that means it is where it should be, but I just get that feeling like that's gonna happen. It's probably all in my head. So I want the line, it's 1 point, let's try 10 points. Okay, so we're gonna go like this. I know last time you guys would see me get a lot of visual references, and really I could do one for this, but I'm just gonna do it my own way for now and see what happens. Because I think I know what I want to do. I want to kind of do this. Again, we're on the green layer. Let me see what layer this is to see if the purple for me to still be on it. Men v women. Yeah, good. In this layer, we want pretty much most of the changes. The only change things I will not put on this layer is pretty much things that are fidgety or it would be better for them to have their own layer. Okay, so this one went pretty big too. Some of you guys may already see what I'm trying to do here. Yeah, I keep clicking off onto the green layer. Click off onto this one. And let's just, I think it's like this. And then maybe like this. And then if I was to rotate it 90, what does that look like? Is that what I'm going for? It's certainly a lot closer. There we go. Now, I know this isn't really how it's supposed to look. So let me actually place them together and see if that makes a difference here. And I'm literally bridging those gaps. I made the gaps so I wouldn't keep clicking off of it. You'll probably notice if you've seen a few of my videos, I don't use the swatches much, but there's no like legitimate reason for me not to. I like to eye drop more. Maybe it's part of my artist background where I would just like get a dab of paint and start mixing it. But really the swatches are helpful. Will save you that extra step, and if you like add a swatch, you could easily access it. So you can have your own customized section. And I will at some point show you guys just so you know what I'm talking about in case you have not used swatches. But it pretty much just is a way for you to keep whatever colors you want. Is it too scrawny? Maybe it's too scrawny. I'm wondering if it, instead of like a line, could use these kind of big old boxes. I'm actually liking that bottom part just a little bit more. So we're gonna roll with that. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this because I can probably just edit it here to make it shorter. So I just filled these in, cleaned those up a little bit. I was gonna finish the entire arrow, but I wanted to show you guys this. It's a really basic design move. I just noticed I have the wrong color up here. I'm gonna make sure I have the right color, and I'm gonna hold shift and make a perfect square. You see where this purple line is? That was right down the middle. We just wanna recreate that. Now, a couple ways you could do this. This is the way where you just get the pen tool. That's the easiest way, right? You just remove a point. Another way you could do it is make two squares. And it doesn't have to be like stay in its shape. You line it up and you can line it up to the 2 points of this square. And look, you could even lower the opacity, make it easier to see what I am doing. You could already see this method is longer, and no, I wouldn't recommend it for this. I mean, this, you could just remove your point and be done with it. Make sure it's on top, select them both, go to your pathfinder, and minus the front. And that's method B. As you guys saw, I'm just gonna delete that. Method A was the quickest. Say I put the pen tool here, and it knows it's not a point. This is at least on the CC, like most current version of Illustrator. I do remember when on older versions, which you guys may still be using, it has pen tool, it has like the minus and the plus, and you kind of have to toggle between it. You can use the shortcuts, but you kind of have to toggle between which one you want. But now it like perceives that, well, there's no point there, they probably want a point, or there is a point here, they probably don't want a point. And that does, again, just make things that much quicker. So I wanted to show you guys that in case you're not used to that, but you know, a lot of these is manipulating shapes. So I just wanted to show you guys one of the quickest ways to do that. And really, it can then become as complex as you want it to. Like these, when you look at it, are just manipulated shapes, drawn in certain ways, points are moved. So what I'm gonna do, for now, I'm gonna leave this how it is. I wanna focus on some of the other things in the room. We want a different color. This is a completely different setting, even though we're building on gold one. You know what? I do like that. That gave me an idea. That kind of color, it makes me think more of a workplace. So I'm gonna roll with that. We're gonna do some more neutral colors like this, and let's make them maybe wear some more professional clothes instead of casual clothes. Now, guys, we have our figure and we're just adding to him. So he has his main thing here. We're gonna do a little triangle thing yet again. We're gonna just remove that. We're gonna move from behind because this is more like the kind of shape we want. And we're gonna have to have an outline there. Make that gray at the moment. A little bigger. Now the thing to remember with these comics is the first box that you're either editing or just making from scratch is going to be the longest. Because we're like establishing everything. All the other boxes really we're just tweaking and changing. So I just simply copied that. I do so often I forget how sometimes. But I just said Control C and then Control V to paste. And guys, if you don't know, like, it will tell you. Like, Adobe is really good with that. Guys, let me know what you think about this new method, actually, because I'm just like in real time doing all of this. I'm trying to be a lot more explanatory about the little things I'm doing. We did a lot of breakdown videos, but we done even just some random update videos. But really, I'm interested in exploring these different methods, mainly because I want to be able to help you guys that are trying to get into this sort of stuff. And if you're finding it more helpful, me being more explanatory, let me know in the comments, please. Okay, so now these are all the same triangle, but I actually want this a little narrower. Now, what I did that's different than the last times, so here, it's gonna retain its shape completely. It's perfect triangle shape, and that's because I held the shift button. If I was to just do it freehand, it could be anything. The shape will be able to be distorted. And that's useful in its own way, but it's not what I want right now. So, gonna go to my rectangle tool, and I want this kind of shape here. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna zoom in. I just held Control, press plus. You saw me, I went to my direct selection tool. And I'm just gonna draw it nearer. Now, I'm gonna bring this to the front, even though it doesn't have a stroke that's visible, just in case I later do. And as you've probably noticed, just by looking at some of these comic videos, there's so much manipulation of shapes. It's like, that's really all you're doing. But I mean, that's art, and like that's breaking something down, because if you were to look in anything, you can reduce it to shapes or a series of shapes. Okay guys, so this is the end. I appreciate all your support. Until next time.